Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Rebel Short. We're going to talk about Red Hood today. Probably going to talk quite quickly. I'm going to try and get this done in 5 minutes. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. I'm literally ignoring Tom Taylor's new book so I can read this one and review it and talk about it, because I genuinely have been on tenterhooks waiting for this one to arrive. For people who don't know, Gretchen Felker-Martin is a fantastic horror author. She's dipped her toes a little bit into comic books recently, into the Pride specials, and they've always been good, but I'm mostly here because I really like her horror writing. Also, genuinely think Jeff Spoke's a fantastic artist. I was really thinking this is going to be 100% my bag. Throw in the fact that it's Deep South, New Orleans, noir. I was like, well, New Angelique, noir. I was like, right, this is just going to be like a comic book practically made for me. I'm going to absolutely love it. But then my brain kind of clicks in and I'm like, no, don't be silly, because there is always possible it's going to go wrong. Like I said, Felker-Martin isn't a comic book writer of renown just yet. This is the first big major thing she's done. I mean, to be fair, DC giving her Red Hood for an ongoing is a hell of a show of faith. So I've got that to look forward to. I hope this carries on as long as Poison Ivy, and I'm still reading it 6 volumes now, and it's better every time. But there's also the Jeff Spokes of it all, who was a fantastic artist, but the last book I read with him in his artwork, I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't down to his artwork. His artwork is brilliant, like I say. But it was a book that I didn't enjoy, and it kind of does make me think, when I saw his name, a little shudder. I was like, oh, I hope this is better. Thankfully it is. I'm going to talk about the Jeff Spokes of it all first, because, like I say, he's brilliant. And he's brilliant in a number of ways. Not only is just his artistic styling fantastic, he has a really, really good, bold, clean line, which I like. It's just enough to fill page with detail without it being overwhelming. He does fantastic cityscapes. His character designs are brilliant. But the main reason I find him compelling to read is his understanding of form. He plays around with it, just enough to be interesting, but not enough to be confusing. Mostly by playing around the idea of more horizontal page layouts than the usual like multi-panel grid, like 9-panel grids you're used to seeing. And he does this not all the time, but when he does, it's clearly for a reason. In his combat sequences, it is brilliant to have an awful lot of action spread wide. It's widescreen kind of action activity. Yes, you don't get like the full look at it, but it feels nice and claustrophobic, especially with street-level ultra-violence that we're getting in a Red Hood crime noir thing with hunters involved as well. There's also moments where he has a vertical panel at the side of a page with then the horizontal ones coming after it, and even that is useful to give a sense of the place where it is, like the wide shot to set up the location, and then the quickness of the combat. He also does it even during conversations, not all of them, but when he does, it reminds you again of this sense of urgency. You get the feeling that people are talking not quite over each other, but so quickly you could barely get a credit card between the sentences. And when he doesn't do it, it totally gives a different sense to the conversation. There's an awful lot of Chinatown in this one, of Red Hood just walking around, Angelique internally monologuing, and then meeting other people in the city. And it is nice and slow, but still feels intense. Genuinely captivating way of marrying the writing to the artwork in a way to add to the story and the world at the same time. And the writing is brilliant. The actual conversations I'm talking about, those very, very tight bits of dialogue, the page layouts alone wouldn't be enough. She needs to know what she's doing, and she does. She absolutely gets that back and forth really nicely. Sometimes it feels comfortable when it's people who know each other, but it still feels intense. Again, that's probably the word that I've best described this thing. But when it comes to her writing, like I say, the reason I'm more committed to just loving this was I enjoyed her horror stuff. And I read a short review of some of her horror recently. I think it was the second one, Cuckoo, which is brilliant, an ode to Stephen King's It, where the reviewer talks about how good she's at describing wets. And it is true. There's a point in this when she's describing the humidity of New Angelique, comparing it to warm saliva. Now, that is a fundamentally disturbing way of thinking about air humidity, but it is also very, very good because it covers up exactly how uncomfortable it is. Brilliantly done from start to finish. There's numerous little moments like that, again going from the internal monologue to the conversation, which adds to the sense of place. It also, just a couple of quick little after points, I reviewed a comic book recently talking about how a core idea of somebody hearing something on a podcast and going off and doing kill crazy rampage kind of stuff. There's a similar kind of beat in a couple of moments in this comic book, and if you watch that review and like, but Shorty, what other story has done that well? This one's done it really, really well. It's tight storytelling, the mystery is there, but it's not all in your face. You are basically taking along and trying to figure it out at the same pace as the people in the story, and that really does matter in the way that this is going on. And my final thought, thank you, Gretchen, for writing a DC comic book having cops in it, and at no point making me worry this might be propaganda. Because there's a few writers who can, you know, maybe go either way on that one. At no point when I was reading this did I think that's what she was going to do, and it's genuinely nice to see that. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!